Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amber Kohler. If you are new here, thanks for stopping by and giving my channel a chance. This isn't usually the kind of content I post, but I thought it was super important anyways because I ended up donating 14 inches of my hair. But anyways, usually on my channel, I do a lot of cleaning, motivation, organizing. Sometimes my pets are on my channel. Apparently my dog Lucy is the star of my channel. And I also have 3 guinea pigs. So I like to include them a lot. And sometimes I do like pet cleaning routines. And really it's just anything that I'm feeling in the moment. Sometimes I do like Sunday resets or get ready with me. But yeah, just kind of a little bit of everything for everyone. And if you are returning, thank you for stopping back by for another video. So this week was kind of different. I actually had pre-recorded this footage and I wasn't going to use it, but then I was like, you know what? I think it's kind of a cool process, and maybe if somebody hasn't ever done this before but is wondering how to go about doing it, I could provide some informational and educational content so that if you're looking to donate your hair, then you can hop on the train as well. So this is my 3rd time donating my hair. The first time I was a senior in high school and I donated about 10 inches. So at that time I had donated to Locks of Love because it was the most common one that I knew of at the time. So I sent it in and they actually sent me a certificate back, which was really nice. And then the second time I also donated to Locks of Love only because it was also only like 10 or 11 inches, and the Wigs for Kids, which I'm donating to in this video, they will only take a minimum of 14 inches, and I didn't know that previously. So it's not that Locks of Love is bad, but they do charge for their wigs, and they do offer like income payment plans and stuff, but Wigs for Kids is completely nonprofit. So it just kind of makes it seem more ethical to me to send my hair to, a place that's gonna give it to families who need it, even if they can't afford it. So the second time I donated, when I realized that Locks of Love only takes a minimum of 10, but the Wigs for Kids was minimum of 14, I was like, okay, well, I will send it to them. But pretty much is what you do is you go on their website, whoever you decide to send it with, and there's a hair donation form. You just print it out, and that's what I was reading in some of those previous clips. And you just print it out. It gives you like a hair donation number or code or whatever that you put with your hair so that they know they can identify, this is your hair. And so that's what I was doing when I put my hair in the baggie. They also want it braided, nice and neat and clean, of course. And you put your hair in a baggie, and then I had cut the little number that they gave me, like my personal number, and I had taped it to the outside of the Ziploc baggie and then put the hair inside of a padded envelope. And then now what I'm doing is just on the paper it had the address that you send it to, so I figured I would cut it off right off of that paper and just put it onto my little package there. So yeah, you just print off their hair donation form. It's super easy. You let them know that you're sending in your hair, and they will also ask you if you want to be recognized or if you want them to send you something letting you know that they received it. And it's just a really easy process. You print that paper off. Like I said, you put your code with your hair, then you send it in. And what I'm doing now is just cutting a piece of blank paper to write my return address on it. And then you take it to the post office. My package was about 4 ounces, so I put 4 stamps on it. But I still kind of ended up having to pay a little, so I'm not sure what that was about. But I Well, I know that some of it was I did tracking on it, which you will probably want to do too to make sure your hair gets to where it's supposed to be. So I feel like it'd be kind of weird if someone opened your package and thought it was something and it's just your hair. So I always put tracking on it. And as of right now, the hair did say it was delivered and it made it. So oh, and this is me not being able to find a working pen, even though we literally have millions of pens in our house, and every time I grab one, it doesn't seem to work. And then this is the pen that I didn't realize I started out with, and it works, but it's super light and frustrating because it like barely works, but at this point I'm just accepting it. So, anyways, and yeah, so then oh yeah, so you want tracking, of course, and other than that, that's pretty much all you do. And then you'll see I put that on the envelope, put my stamps on it, and I weighed it just to make sure. And I also had to like stop the video and look up how many ounces a stamp covers because apparently they don't teach that in schools today. And this is me fighting with the tape because there's Lucy hair on it, and I'm like, oh well, it's a hair package and it's gonna have hair on it, so. And then I was like, you know what, forget it. I don't even think it's really sticky, so I got rid of that piece, and it was a whole process. It was actually kind of funny because this day I was actually in a really good mood. I was super excited to finally get my hair going, and because we haven't been able to print the paper because our printer hasn't been working. But anyways, and I ended up walking Lucy to the post office with me. It's a really small post office, and I know you're not really supposed to have dogs in, spaces like that, but I thought, oh, they probably won't really care. I'm just dropping off this package, and the lady was like, oh, you can't have your dog in here, and that made me feel really bad, made me feel really embarrassed. So, and then it just kind of, and it seems like this whole process just wasn't working out for me. Like the pens, the tape, and I know that's totally first world problems, but yeah, so then I go and get my scale and I weigh it. But yeah, so that's pretty much the process. I highly recommend it. The first time that I cut my hair, it took me forever to grow it out. Like seriously, like 4 years. It was awful. And then I cut it off my senior year, and then I let it get to about shoulder length again, and then I was like, I'm going to chop it. I was going through a chopping phase. And then before mine and Anthony's wedding, my hair was actually the longest it had ever been in my entire life. It was like almost to the bottom of my butt cheeks. And we were getting married, we were going to Jamaica. I knew it was going to be hot. And I was like, I just don't think that I can have this super long, thick, heavy hair in a really exotic, hot and humid place. So I ended up chopping it before we left, but I actually didn't chop as much as you would think I would. So that only ended up being about 10 or 11 inches. And then this past time, it was actually really funny. The hair that I'm sending out now in this video, it just was a day I was having a really bad day. My hair was bothering me. And I said to Anthony, I was like, I'm getting my hair cut today. And he was like, what? Are you sure? Because I tend to like freak out when I cut my hair because it's kind of a traumatic thing. But at this point, it's like I've done it enough times. And so I said, yeah. And so we called all the hair salons around the area. They were either fully booked or they weren't open. And finally there was one and they were open, but they weren't answering. So we just decided to drive there, and we walked in, and luckily the woman was like in between her customers and she was waiting for someone to come in, and she had like 5 minutes. And I said, listen, I don't want anything spectacular. Can you just cut it, trim it up, make it a little even, and I'm good to go. And it was only $20. So, and she was so nice and she was amazing. I actually have a video of, that process. And So everything worked out. I got my hair cut and it ended up being like 14 inches. It was crazy. And here's me telling Lucy to stop whining because she sees I'm getting ready to go. But anyways, this is like behind the scenes where I'm trying to look like a cool YouTuber. Like I'm gonna walk out my door without my camera and then actually have to turn around and grab my camera because, you know. So here's me leaving, pretending I'm leaving. And then, oh, just kidding, coming back in for my camera. Except this really made Lucy confused, and she was like pulling on the lead, and I was like, girl, just get in here. She was like, wait, but I thought we were going for a walk. So yeah, I ended up taking her with me, and it was a huge mistake. And it ended up actually kind of in an altercation outside of the post office because one of my neighbors decided to advance towards me and yell at me and accuse me of letting Lucy poop in their lawn and not pick it up, which is not true. She's always on a leash, and I always pick up after her when she poops on walks. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to tell my dog she can't poop or pee, you know, and you see where she's just off the sidewalk. You know, I understand that's someone's lawn, but it's like she's a dog, and I know that dogs poop and pee on our lawn. And do we make a big deal about it? No, but whatever. So it was just kind of a really bad day after I did this, and it made me feel like, man, why do I do good things and then get pooped on? So, yeah, so we were taking a walk, and then we ended up going in the post office, and there's some footage of me kind of talking to the lady because I wasn't really understanding what she was asking me. She was asking me if I wanted tracking, and I was like, I don't know. Do I need tracking? And she was like, well, it's up to you. And I'm like, I guess, you know, because the first time that I did this, I actually had somebody help me because I was in high school. So I think one of my teachers helped me send it out. And then the one before our wedding, that I sent out, I guess I don't remember doing all of this, but you know, it is what it is. So here's Lucy in there with me. And if you knew my dog, she's such a sweetheart. She doesn't bother anybody, but she's super scared of like her own shadow. If you can see, she's just like, she's literally looking through the glass because she's just petrified of everything. And that's just the kind of dog she is. She has a lot of anxiety. We got her when she was 4 months old from the SPCA, so she just has a lot of anxiety, and she also has a lot of energy, which I think can contribute to her anxiety. But yeah, this is where the woman is asking me if I wanted tracking, and I'm like, I don't know what I need. You know, like I don't really remember doing this process the second time, let alone the first. So I was like thinking, I'm like, I don't know, how much is that gonna cost, you know? And I was just kind of keeping an eye on Lucy. And it was around probably in like a couple minutes where the woman's like, yeah, you're not supposed to have your dog in here. And she actually asked me if it was a service animal, and I felt so like guilty because I was like, no, she's not. But, you know, I guess I just didn't think it'd be an issue. So anyways, but that's pretty much it. So just kind of a crapshoot for a video, but I figured I would explain the process because it's always nice to know, and also I had the footage, so why not? But anyways, enjoy the last couple of minutes of nothing, and thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by, and thanks for stopping back if you're returning. Anyways, have a great day. Thanks. Bye.